All right, today, guys, we're going to go over 5 quick tips for an awesome 5-minute presentation. So the reason why we're going down like this road is just I know like presentations could be intimidating, and sometimes 5 minutes could be probably more intimidating than 50 minutes. So first and foremost, we're going to go over these 5 quick things, right? Prepare and plan, connect to listeners, practice and rehearse, show, don't tell, and use your strengths. All right. And there's some other bonus things in here. So let's go to the first one. So the first one that we're going to talk about is first and foremost is creating an outline. So an outline for a 5-minute presentation. And again, I'm going to have more of a conversation and just talk to you guys about like my process behind when I create these presentations. I usually just do 3 parts to the outline, right? It's the opening, which I just went over the opening. Now we're going into like the meat and potatoes, the body of the content, and that's 3 minutes, and then closing for essentially another 60 seconds. So combined, we're at about 5 minutes. In addition to that, you want to use objectives. And objectives of this is essentially my goal is to kind of take that fear factor away from doing these presentations and make them a lot easier. And you can kind of see this presentation is stripped down to the bare bones. So I've added a lot of content to it. Then I cut myself off, and then I stripped it down to just bullets. So again, like behind the scenes, when I'm reading this content, I'm just looking for the key bullets, and everything else I should know by heart, essentially. So that gives me the opportunity to kind of have a reference point, but it doesn't have to be visually beautiful across the board, right? So the number 2 is connecting to your listeners, right? You want to be conversational. Again, I'm having a conversation with you guys. It's a one-way conversation right now, but then we'll follow up more so with a Q&A at the end. Consider your audience. Again, I'm considering that this could potentially be a problem for some of you that are listening to this. So again, that's why I'm doing this presentation, and I'm making it personal as well. Part of that is using the transition words, right? So earlier on, I said today we're going to talk about X. First, we're going to talk about this. Second, we're going to talk about that. So again, I'm continuing the story, I'm continuing the progress, but I'm recapping as I'm going. So you're always following these bullet points until we get to bullet point number 5. Number 3 is you want to practice and rehearse, right? Time yourself, talk in the mirror, speak up. Okay. Tonality, body language is all a factor to being a good speaker. So think about your tone, think about your speed, think about the clarity, think about your body language, and rehearse these things until you get them down to where you look yourself in the mirror and you get pretty comfortable with that information that you're delivering. Number 4 is show, don't tell, right? So this is the only slide that I have in this particular deck that actually has a visual representation, right? And obviously anyone here that either was a kid, which we all were, could relate to this picture of show and tell during the elementary school days. So in incorporating the show and tell mechanism makes it a lot easier and stickier for that content to be delivered to who you're talking to, and makes it easier for them to comprehend and relate. They could think about that visual representation in their mind. Part of that is demonstrating the cause and effect, right? And that's what this slide is doing. It's saying, okay, all these other slides are just 100% bullets. There's only type content in there. It's more behind the scenes stuff, but on the visual side, what does that look like, and how does that make that information sticky? Now, I guarantee you probably remember this slide more than any of the other slides that I've showed you so far. Going into slide number 5 is using your strengths, right? If you could be a smartass, be a smartass, crack jokes. Again, that's going to break the ice. It's going to level out the playing field. It's going to slim down the fear factor. Be dynamic in your speaking, change your tonality. Like part of being a podcaster is like you'll change the elevations. And a lot of times you're changing the elevations to change the chemistry of the person you're interviewing. If they're getting flatline, or if you're getting flatline reading something, then pep up in your step. Step up to the plate, raise your tone a little bit, and then you'll be able to sail a little bit smoother moving forward. Sense of style, musical ability, and the musical ability is kind of think about a rhythm. Like you're hearing a beat in your head and you're speaking to that rhythm, you're speaking to that flow. And once you get into that rhythm, that flow, that presentation will go a lot easier. And last but not least, going into like the bonus tips, at the end of every presentation, this is where your meat and potatoes come in. You want to ask for feedback. You want to lead into a question and answer or a call of action, which is a CTA. And in this case, we're going to have a breakout session to kind of go a little bit deeper into this. But then you could also send your users to a Google form, or you can send them to a landing page and then convert them. All right. So right now, and again, I'm looking at my clock, and that's part of one of these strategies. So I know we have exactly 20 seconds. So I'm going to go into closing, and I'm going to say, okay, does anyone have any questions?
You're amazing.
That's a great way to break it down. Can you send that just like the steps. I think that's very helpful when we're structuring a presentation.
Yes, very helpful.
Not a problem.
I'm thinking already, like, even just for those short videos for a YouTube short or anything, just following that protocol would be incredible.
Totally. Because otherwise you just blah, 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 blah around all day.
Right.
Or
Thank
you
you so
could
much,
even-
Essay.
Could you
Yeah,
upload
well-
those steps in our Facebook private group?
Yeah, I do it right now.
That would be awesome. Really good. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Back to you, Jen.
Okay, you want to